So I I did sign into my account finally on my TV, so I'm not being engulfed with the recommendations from YouTube, which are basically targeted. Attempts to like manipulate and often to abuse me and try to keep me in like a state of hypervigilance, which is akin to like if you've experienced stalking, to the kind of heightened like the feeling that you kind of get thrown into when someone leaves you a threatening letter, or leaves a dead animal on your porch, or a message inside your home, like trying to show you that they've been in your home, they've been in your private spaces, they've written something on your like TV, or done other hyper specific things. It sends you into a bit of hyper vigilance where you kind of look for the and that was another spam call from somebody who shouldn't be able to call me because I have this phone's not connected to any services. But what I was gonna say is that the content is meant to kind of to be distressing and to kind of be controlling. And when I first experienced it on IG, I recognized later on down the road that it mimics the cycle of DV, and of a DV relationship. And you'll have to look that up because I can't remember all the stops. But there's like love bombing, and then there's the abuse, and then there's like this repair kind of, and then more love bombing, and that was kind of very prominent when I was on IG, and it was really hard to escape too, because when I came off of IG, the attacks in my physical life were heightened, where I would experience things like my tires being slashed, my car being damaged, people breaking into my home, leaving messages on my television, or like stealing things, or attacks from neighbors, like heightened stalking and aggressive behaviors from people, from random strangers, almost being run off the road. And then once I came back to, IG or whatever platform that I disconnected from, then that eased. It's like they're kind of training me that, like, nope, you don't get to leave. And if you leave, these are the bad things that are going to happen to you. Like, these were the things. I don't know. That's kind of how it feels and felt. And so I would go back onto IG. And because even though the police officer that recommended I come off of IG, when I came off of IG and all this stuff was happening, the police weren't helping me. So I go back to IG, go through this process, this cycle. And, where I learned that, I learned a lot. They were diagnosing me with, like, they taught me that I had PMDD. I didn't know what it was, but I just knew that I would get these really intense, dark periods right before my period, usually. And then once my period hit, I was like yanked out of those dark periods. Like, I felt like night and day difference. And I didn't understand what was kind of going on. And then, they informed me about that. And then, but with their informing me about that, I also learned, that they had been tracking kind of my cycle, and that they were syncing the DV cycle with my menstrual cycle, with the knowledge that I have PMDD. And so when I was going into these dark phases, that's when they would hit me with the antagonizing kind of posts that were meant to like tear me apart, tear my self-esteem down, and where they would kind of try to bully and also bring up suicide and suicidal ideation to plant the seed of suicide in my brain. It wasn't it and there was even messaging like that was meant to like make like try to that kind of was telling on themselves, like that they wanted me to harm myself. And it was it was really a really difficult time, because I was going through this abuse and this stalking, but then we were also going through other really traumatic things at that time as well. And so I couldn't escape. And I will say, like, so after I decided I was going to close IG, then I was going to go to a different platform. And so I tried going to Twitter, and it was fine. Twitter was great. Like, I really enjoyed Twitter before Elon Musk took over it. And then once Elon took over it, the same things that were happening on YouTube started happening on Twitter. And I will say Elon was on YouTube too, and he was very perfect. It was very it was the same kind of romantic kind of fraud kind of thing with him that was occurring with the others. And so I don't know. So once I went to YouTube, or once I went to Twitter, and then he took over, some of the same things were happening there, except for I was being given content that was like really graphic, and that I said I did not want to see. Like I would, I would say I would report content, and the more that I do that, and it was the same on IG, the more that I expressed that I didn't like particular content and that I didn't want to see particular content, I would be given more of that content, and it would become even worse and more pervasive. And so I just completely left Twitter and was on MSN for a little bit. And then I ended up, my computer was compromised, and then my phone was compromised. Like, someone stole my phone number, or they transferred my phone number without my consent, and and then so I lost access to that, and then I ended up because I tried YouTube for a little bit too, but the same kind of things were happening. I didn't end up closing. I'm not sure if I did close. I may have closed YouTube several times and walked away from it, but then I learned that I may have accidentally been turning the history back on, because I learned that I could turn the history off and not be given recommendations and not be targeted in the same ways. And because of when I was on YouTube too, if there was something distressing, something triggering that would pop up, if I said I didn't want to see it, they would give me more of that and a lot more of that and even worse versions of that. And so I just I learned that I could turn my history off, and then I wouldn't have that. I wouldn't be engulfed with that content. And so that's kind of what I've done, and I learned that if I access other particular content, that I still can see a little bit of what I was seeing prior, but it's more like, and some of even the content that I am subscribed to, sometimes I'll still get some targeted, content, but it's more it feels more randomized. It's not quite as invasive. It's like the difference between like a fire hose and like a dripping garden hose kind of thing. Like just it's like a very low flow, and it's something that's a little bit easier to kind of like manage, I guess. And yeah. Anyway, so I did that, and I had this relief. There was always like a little bit of I don't know, fear, I guess, of like anytime you pull away from a stalker, or like, or you try to put boundaries up, it kind of infuriates them, and so you often will have more heightened like attempts from them to kind of frighten you and scare you, and sometimes they just, like, and I've learned this because when I was in the DV shelter, I ended up picking up like a stalking handbook, and it was like stalking 101 or something, or I don't remember, but it was geared to help victims of stalking. And I moved to the state because of that kind of reason. And then right out of the DV shelter, my first neighbor started stalking me, and like left a dead bird, or I think it was a bird, on my doorstep, an angry letter, just it was like he was doing weird things, like shining lights in my window, trying to videotape inside my apartment through my window, doing a lot of like crazy ish. And once I started putting boundaries up, putting curtains up and things, he like just became worse and worse. And then it was after the fact that I started reaching out to like stalker hotlines and things, and then I ended up actually reading more of that handbook, because the problem with when you're in a state of hypervigilance, like it's hard for you to digest the information that is actually being put out there to help you. Like DV agencies and these stalking like hotlines and stuff, they put information and things together to help victims. But when you're in fight or flight and stuff, your brain, you're at such a heightened state, like it's hard for you to